another exciting episode of Cap and No Cap. I am your host, Kevin C. Meggett, and I just want to say hello to the global family. Hope everyone is having a pretty decent week. We're in the middle of the week, hump day, so we just doing what we do. Let's jump right into it. Okay. If you're on the East Coast, you have to really understand the air quality is horrendous. I mean, it looks like it looks like we're in the Middle East during a sandstorm or something like that. It looks like San Francisco, and from my understanding, this is an issue coming from Canada. They're having a huge forest fire out there, probably the biggest one in history, and it's affecting everyone on the East Coast, all the way from New York, all the way to, I believe, Virginia. I'm sure there's other states. But we need to stay tuned. I mean, it's very dense out there. You can't see the sun. You can smell the smoke. And I'm just wondering how come we're not getting the attention we've gotten during COVID. Perhaps we'll follow this for a few more days, but I don't know. I hate to say it, but I think we should be locking down. Have a mandatory lockdown until we can get this air quality control under control. So yeah, I don't know where the fire's at. I don't know who's actually helping to extinguish it. But the ironic thing, ladies and gentlemen, one tree could probably make millions and millions of matches. But it only take one match to destroy millions of acres of forest land. So let that, kind of sit there and rest. All right, we're moving right along. Last week was Veterans Day. Had an outstanding tribute to the Memorial of Veterans. There were so many things going on. A lot of wreaths were put down. It was, Veterans Day is for veterans, saying thank you. And Memorial Day is actually remembering the veterans that gave and their lives for the country, for the freedoms that we come to enjoy. So during Memorial Day, I was out there in Bed-Stuy, New York, with Black Veterans for Social Justice. Big shout out to these guys. They had their 12th annual Memorial Day parade, and they had a mini stand down. It was very good. I mean, it was very community orientated. You had people that were following the parade route, that was actually engaged in the parade route, and they went down. They kind of marched down with flags. You had marching processions. It was beautiful. I was out there with Millennium TV. I actually got some really cool interviews. I was able to interview the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries. I actually slipped up and said majority leader when I was interviewing him, but that was me really projecting that I see him becoming just that, the majority leader. And it felt really, really good because I had this meeting with him one-on-one, no one else. And I was able to ask him, as a veteran myself, I was able to ask him questions about veterans. And one of the very first questions that I asked him, well, I think it was the only real question that I asked him, other than why does he keep coming back year after year? But he believes in the mission statement of Black Veterans for Social Justice with respects to the outstanding work that they do for the community. And I had asked him, a minority leader, if veteran homelessness is the problem, would he be in favor of veteran housing to combat the problem? And his answer just kind of really blew my mind. He was 110% for veteran housing. This is important to me because, as you know, housing urban development, or the federal government pretty much kind of got out of the HUD business, or what they call project. So you have Caprini Green, which was down in Chicago. They imploded those buildings and got rid of them. They left one of them standing just for, I guess, monumental purposes to Good Times, the TV show. The projects in Detroit, they imploded. The projects in um, Newark, they imploded. The projects in Detroit, in different places, they're imploding these projects. The federal government said, we don't want to, we're not building no more housing. And that's kind of sending a real dangerous message. And I'm starting to believe that I've always believed that the problem is with this housing crisis, the government has to share it. They have to share the responsibility that we have a national homeless crisis right now, and you can't help but to think the implosion of these housing developments added to it. But I like to look at things from both sides of the spectrum. You know, I think when they built these developments, they were meant to be a hand up and not a hand out. And what I mean by that, systematically, you have people that just was systematically stuck these developments, generational. So how do we look at this housing crisis and try to rectify it from a standpoint where it's fair to both sides, because these are American citizens we're turning our backs on, and we can't continue to have a homeless crisis where people are lingering in the street. That's just not. That's very un-American, and it's very cruel at a very least, cruel and unusual punishment to do that. And so you have to really honestly look at the mechanics and who are actually in these homeless shelters. And we need to start looking at statistics and statistics on racial lines and address it from a racial perspective and a racial aspect, because I don't believe in coincidence. I follow patterns. So let's look at the pattern of the people that are mostly affected, and let's kind of have a conversation from there. Sometimes we have to have these painful conversations. They don't always sit well with people, but I mean, hey, what are we gonna do? So, back to Memorial Day, I had the opportunity to interview the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries. The mayor was there. You had a lot of elected officials that were there, assemblywomen and assemblymen and senators, and it was great. I mean, they were out there giving haircuts. The veterans, they had a mini stand down. For those that don't know what a stand down is pretty much like, we're going to give a veteran everything that he or she needs at that particular moment. And so this stand down actually, this mini stand down actually serviced a lot of veterans. I've seen veterans getting haircuts. I've seen veterans getting clothing. I've seen veterans getting screened for medical purposes. They even had dental people there to do x-rays, not x-rays, but to make appointments for x-rays for dentistry. And I thought that was amazing. So big shout out to Black Veterans for Social Justice for putting such a wonderful event on. And then on top of all of the ceremonial stuff, they even had food where they gave to the community. So you had a choice between hot dogs, hamburgers, or salmon patties, and they had chips and water, and it was just really, really good. The founder, Joe Mashariki, came out, and it ran very smooth. It ran very effective, and this is, again, 12 years since they've been doing this for the community. I would love to perhaps get someone from Black Veterans for Social Justice on the show one day to talk about the Memorial Day parade and certain things that they do, and figure out, how people could get more involved. But, moving right along, we're somewhat in a political year, and the race for on the Republican side for president is getting really crowded, and I can't help but to think it's starting to look a little deja vu-ish. I mean, I remember when the Trump administration had a whole bunch, former President Donald Trump beat out a whole bunch of people, and no one thought he could do it. And it's starting to look like that again. So you have so many people coming into the race. It's going to be interesting when you start to see the debate, for one. I'm interested. I think the very, the most thing that I'm personally concerned about, and I'll get to it on the Democratic side, is a form of reparations for foundational Black Americans. But I also want to look at the economy. From my understanding, I don't believe Republicans really believe in reparations for foundational Black Americans. So, that's kind of going to be a sticking point. But, the same could be also said for Democrats, which is where I want to go next. The Democrats, Joe Biden, President Joe Biden, actually looked at reparations as a form of being able to right the wrongs that the country did for the free labor of the people that built this country, which I guess we are the children of those children. I mean, we're the children of those ancestors that built the country. And he kind of just got in office and kind of never, looked at it again. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to actually address the reparation issue, foundational Black Americans. Now, I don't believe there's a lot of Democrats coming out for the job. However, yesterday, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, Cornel West came out, and he's coming out as an independent. And that's going to kind of hurt the Democrats, and I'm going to tell you why. A lot of people, especially foundational Black Americans, are not interested in voting. They want reparations. And I don't see where the issue is. We talk about, where are we going to get the money? Where are we getting the money right now to aid and abet all of these illegal aliens that are coming into the country undocumented? Where are we getting that money from? So wherever we getting that money from, we could get the money for the reparations for foundational Black Americans. Oh, it's going to bankrupt the country. No, it's not going to bankrupt the country. If anything, it'll probably stimulate the country. Foundational Black Americans, myself included, really are pushing that reparations issue, and the Democrats they're just kind of playing cat and mouse with it. Like, we'll talk about it, get your interest, get your support, and then, it's what they call benign neglect, or nothing burger. We'll make you do all these promises, and once we get in, you get nothing on that burger. So Cornel West entering the race could actually really hurt Biden's chance for a second term, and it could potentially get someone in like another Donald Trump or Donald Trump. So we'll stay focused on that and see where that goes. Obviously, if Cornel West isn't talking reparations, I'm not voting for him either. So that I'm as an independent, and I'm a registered independent, and he's running on the independent line. He's talking a lot of socialism. He's talking like AOC. He's talking like Congressman Jamal Bowman. I want to do free this, free that, free. And everything could be free until you press them. How is it going to get paid? And then people start to stutter and babble. So I'm just gonna, I guess I gotta wait days in advance for him to put reparations on the table. If he says he's in favor of reparations for foundational Black Americans, well, he got my vote. And that's the beauty part about being an independent, is that I don't vote on party lines. I vote on issues. and I'm going to always vote on issues. So there's times where I vote Democrat, there's times I vote Republican. I vote based off of my interests. I don't have any friends. I have an issue. I have an interest. And you could be a friend of my interest, but you can't be necessarily my friend, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Because friends come and go. Your interests stay there for a lifetime. So I just kind of really vote based off of my interests. I'm going to take a real quick commercial break because we got to pay these bills here at Millennium TV. But we'll be right back after this break. Cap or no cap. Be right back.
Welcome to the world of Millennium News 24. We bring news, we analyze news, and we make a bridge between you and the eventful world. 24/7, Millennium News 24 team is at your service. Don't miss today's America, Editorial Today, and Global Democracy with host Tofader Noor. You also won't want to miss Todd Goldfinger's show, Goldfinger Music Hour, Noon News with host Todd Goldfinger. And to stay connected with all top and trending news, don't even miss Millennium News Hour with host Tanziba Nouri. Millennium News 24 is available to be watched free for all LED TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV, and Apple TV. And also in all European countries and Australia, available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network, and Horizon Satellite globally. Millennium TV 24 News you need to know.
We're back. Cap or no cap. We had to pay those bills. Surely you saw in the commercial break every place that we're being streamed from. So, by all means, tune into those channels and download us immediately. So moving right along, the reason why that question was very important to me to ask as a veteran, because I want to take that same question and apply it on a state level and on a city level. So if every problem has a solution, homelessness is the problem, housing is the solution. So what I propose, this is what I'm proposing. We need to have housing and shelters on a federal, state, and local level. So you should have federal housing, which would be 100% veteran housing and for families. We're putting up buildings. Buildings are going up in New York every single day, but we still in a homeless crisis. A lot of these veterans have what is called HUD-VASH. HUD-VASH is equivalent to Section 8 as it pertains to veterans. So the HUD-VASH would pay the rent, would pay the bills of that veteran to be housed. Now here's the issue. Not every veteran that's homeless is housable. Some of them have barriers, and we have to understand what those barriers look like, and we have to assess it. So someone may be chemically dependent or have mental health issues. So they may need wraparound services. So you have housing where they have those services in the building, where people could check on them, so they could stay on track. And then you have enough veteran organizations out there. You have Volunteers of America. You have Black Veterans for Social Justice. You could start developing relationships with other people like National Association for Black Veterans, and so forth and so on. You could build these relationships and say, hey, you can actually do the work because you are a veteran, and no one understands veterans more than a veteran. A veteran just really understands another veteran. and they can actually put the wraparound services, whether they need um, case management, if they need therapy, whatever the situation is, it's in that building. We have to start investing into our future because it just doesn't even look right. We wag our fingers. America wags her finger at China, at Russia, at Venezuela, and other countries for their human rights issue, but being housed, being homeless is not a civil rights issue. That's a human right issue. Everyone has the right to be sheltered and clothed. And it comes down to how your tax dollars is being spent. I mean, as a taxpayer, I'm appalled that I feel like I deserve a rebate. Somehow, some way, on a federal level, on a state level, and on a city level, because you can't tell me my tax dollars that is supporting my so-called migrants, or let's call it what it is, illegal immigration, is not, you're taking away from me to give it to someone else. And it's not about being anti-immigration, because those that came here legally, that migrated here legally and became citizens, should be just as appalled as I am, because it's a slap in their face because they did it the right way. They went about it. They went about doing it the right way and said, this is how I'm going to do it. This is my plan, and I'm going to become a citizen and pay taxes and yada yada yada. That's not the situation with these migrants or illegal aliens. They're not migrants. They want to be migrants, but we're trying to put a pretty name on something. And you have people like AOC that's got her cape on for them. And at the end of the day, my issue is exactly this. There is nowhere in the world that I could go and crash their country and eat up their resources for free. You're not gonna the best hotels, the best schools, best meals. We're going to try to get work visas, all kind of incentives. Where are those incentives for the American people? I'll wait. That's my issue. And you know, the language that is used is, well, we all come from somewhere, and that's not true either. Because my mother was born here, her mother was born here, her mother was born here, her mother was born here. I go back generations of my family being here. Migrating and being brought here is not the same thing. Okay, so notwithstanding, I have an indigenous background as well. So we were always here. Foundational Black Americans were always here. You can't count. They don't really have a record. If you don't have a record and they've been here, they've always been here. So how do you not take care of the most sincere people? You know, as far as I'm concerned, foundational Black Americans, we've been good neighbors to America. We've fought in every single war. We've paid taxes. We've tried to be included. We've tried to build. We've all of these inventions, microwaves, air conditioners, television, all of these things. We built that. We built out all of these beautiful things for the world to enjoy. And at the end of the day, there's nothing there for us. We need to be put in a protective class as well. Foundational Black Americans, first and foremost, need to be put into a protective class, and then veterans. Veterans also need to be put in a protective class. And if reparations were to ever come out, and we were to take a real honest look at it, those that served, that are foundational Black Americans, deserve just a little bit more for their service. We've been good friends, we've been good neighbors, and we've been dealt with hostile for our goodness. And that's the core of what reparation is. we've been good neighbors to America. We were never hostile. We were always, the hostility was always amongst us. You know, a lot of people come here and they misjudge what the foundational Black Americans have actually done in this country. How about this? We've done everything for everyone else to enjoy, but us. So you have gay marriages today. That's because of us. That's the 14th Amendment. All of these protections that are in place are because we fought to have them, but it never applied to us. So, I mean, the only thing that I see is foundational Black Americans are going to have to become sovereign, just like the Indians, you know. And speaking of that, my brother and I, we went, and I'm going to have him hopefully on the show very soon. He's a Washita Moore, and shout out to you, Trayon Kirby L. No, Trayon Irby. Sorry, Trayon Kirby Day. I think that's right. He'll correct me on the show. Anyway, so him and I just on a random, we said, hey, let's go up to the Shinnecock Indian Reservation, and we went up there. Man, it was beautiful. Like, it was so beautiful. It was probably one of the prettiest things I've seen in a long time, and I needed to see that with him, put a smile on my face. You know, for two reasons. One, these indigenous people, they're melanated. And we don't look at, when you look at melanated people and they say that they're indigenous, you try to say, oh, we're trying to be something other than what we are. And that's just not true. So, you know, three people make up a foundational Black American. The people that that's always been here that have no birth record. Those are the indigenous Aborigine. Then you had a bunch of Moors that traveled back and forth from Africa to what we call America, and that also intertwined and intermarried and blended in. And then you had chattel slavery, because I don't subscribe or deny that chattel slavery exists. It definitely did exist. I really don't think it exists to the point where every Black person that you see in America came out of it. I think it's highly exaggerated. Slavery, from what I was taught, only made up 17% of the so-called Black population. So if it only made up 17% of the Black population, what does that tell you? We were already here. So, you know, and that includes Mexico, that includes Central and South America, all of those Mayan ruins and Aztec ruins that you see. Those were built by, those people were heavy melanated people. The people that came after, what you would say, oh, these are Hispanics and blah, blah, blah. They came later. They didn't really even understand what they were looking at. But I mean, I'm not here to do a history, debunk history, but anyone ever want to, you know, come at me, I'm on all of the social media, or you could, you know, reach out to me at kevincmegget@gmail.com, and we could chop up some good game. But even those folks that claim to be the offsets of the Mayans and the Aztecs, those are not the original people. They're as original to that as the Egyptians today are of Kemet, of old Kemet. Those are invaders. They came much later. But I digress. Anyway, we have to get the language right, ladies and gentlemen. We have to get the language right, and we have to teach our children right. So, you know, the best way to do that, obviously, is by having this information ourselves and being able to not be afraid to talk about it. We get our history somehow, some ways, very offensive to other people, to other groups. We offend people but you know, let's put the facts on the table and let's hammer it out. You know, they say knowledge is the key, right? Or knowledge is a source of freedom. or knowledge is power. We love to say that, right? Knowledge is the key, knowledge is power. But if it's all of those things, it's not. It's the application of knowledge that becomes the key and power. So let's start applying some of this knowledge and get this language right. I'm sitting here rambling. Let me take a real quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Cap and no cap. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the world of Millennium News 24. We bring news, we analyze news, and we make a bridge between you and the eventful world. 24/7, Millennium News 24 team is at your service. Don't miss today's America, Editorial Today, and Global Democracy with host Tofader Noor. You also won't want to miss Todd Goldfinger's show, Goldfinger Music Hour, Noon News with host Todd Goldfinger. And to stay connected with all top and trending news, don't even miss Millennium News Hour with host Tanziba Nouri. Millennium News 24 is available to be watched free for all LED TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV, and Apple TV. And also in all European countries and Australia, available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network, and Horizon Satellite globally. Millennium TV 24 News, news you need to know.
We're back. Cap and no cap. I just finished my rant. But yeah, we really do got to get the language right all the way around, foundational Black Americans, and shout out to us wherever you're at in the country, because we actually influence the world. We don't get the credit that we deserve. But I'm gonna kind of switch gears a little bit now. Let's go over to the hip hop. I want to talk about hip hop for a minute. So as you know, this is the 50th year of hip hop, according to what Kool Herc did in Cedric and Cedar. I believe it was August 11th, 1973. And talk about making something out of nothing. This is a time where you had a lot of gang activity. It was very divisive. Crime was through the roof. Lack of opportunity, homelessness. Sounds like today. Sounds like 50 years ago is repeating itself 50 years later, right? And you had this party in Cedric and Cedar that changed the world. And everyone came from somewhere to view this party. And they brought it to their own respected areas of the Bronx at that time. Okay? So just to clear the air, hip hop always exists, or the fundamental elements of it has always been around. Because if you would ask Kool Herc himself, he would tell you, those big speakers he had, he was playing James Brown, foundational Black American music. And like everything else, it evolved. But prior to that, you had a precursor to hip hop, and you had these DJs, the DJ Grandmaster Flowers and so forth, in different places in Queens and Brooklyn that were playing pretty much not hip hop, but they were in the street playing disco. I'm also going to want to dedicate a couple of shows to hip hop. I'm going to bring some hip hop pioneers to get the language straight. And so, the culture is now 50 years old. And I'm really proud of, and I want to give a big shout out to this original pioneer, Grandmaster Melly Mel, just recently signed on board an initiative called Hip Hop Against Gang and Gun Violence. And bravo to that brother, because we don't talk about it. And it's an initiative that is getting bipartisan support in Congress, believe it or not. And um, there are different reasons why. When I asked him, I said, you know, what was hip hop like when you joined, when you created this culture? And he said, when I created this culture, I created the culture because I wanted to come out of the gang life. And it's a shame now that the gang life, the gang and gun violence life has found its way into hip hop. And I thought that was very interesting. I really love talking to that brother, as well as Grand Mixer DXT. I just like hearing different perspectives on this culture that became a genre of music, um, and their take on it. And what's funny is you will never get the same. They all have different ideologies. They all have different perspectives and so Mel's was. I got this was created to come out of gang violence. This was created so that we didn't have to we didn't have to resort to that. And by him signing that and him actually standing in front or behind that, that is so huge, man. I'm like, I'm just honored that he did something like that, because it shows integrity. And as you know, he's been getting a lot of pushback for his comment with Eminem, and when you start to peel that back, what he said wasn't really that bad. It's something, a lot of what he was saying was pretty much what Eminem was saying. But, we living in an age where everything is rearranged and it's upside down. They'll take a little sound bite of this man and make it a story. And, it's just not fair at all, in no shape, form, or fashion. But I believe that he's going to be pushing this initiative. I know the Veteran Action Network is actually going to support him and stand with him, and I believe there's a press conference that is coming very soon, where he's going to outright talk about the gang violence and the gun violence in hip hop. And so my stance on it is this. And shout out to everyone I'm getting ready to mention, but because I do love their music. I love Ice Cube. I love Snoop. I love, a lot of the West Coast music. I love Mobb Deep. I love their contributions. I love 50 Cent. I love the contributions of what they did. I even like some of Cardi B stuff. I won't go as far as saying I love her, but I could tolerate it. My issue is this: at what point do you start to walk back gang affiliation? At what point do you say, no, it's not okay to be a Blood? No, it's not okay to be a Crip. You following what I'm saying? Cardi B does not allow her child to listen to her lyrics, to listen to any of her songs. But you create this music and you package it up so that you can spoon feed it to ours. Now, as a parent, I should know better. And so this is what they kind of run to. Well, it's the parents. Yes, to a degree. But marketing and promoting is a hell of a thing. People want what they can't have. So even if I say you can't have it, you're going to want it even more. And the people that are marketing and promoting you, they know this. So now it's not even about the gang affiliation. Well, it still is about the gang affiliation with Bloods and Crips, so forth and so on. But now you have this culture of rap called drill, where actually these kids are actually killing other kids, going into the studio and making songs on how they killed them. That's unacceptable. But there's two entities that I blame for that. And they both governmental. The first one is this, because the FCC lowered their standard when it came to their regulations. So now you can say certain things on the radio and certain things. And from my understanding, and shout out to my homegirl, Layla Wills, who does this kind of work out in Chicago. I hope to have her on the show real soon as well. What you have, once radio started to market and promote and allow drill music to come on its airwaves, the murder rate went through the roof. It was a big influx of murders. So you can't tell me there's no outcry because it's contained in the black community. But when it starts to cross over, and it will, when it crosses over to the white community, it's going to be a national crisis. We're tired of that. Okay? It's only a detriment when it's affecting one class and not another. We're tired of that. And then the second thing is when you press a lot of rappers on their lyrics, they hide behind the First Amendment. So with that said, if they're going to hide behind the First Amendment, I honestly say someone that have means need to take drill rap lyrics, place it before the Supreme Court, because it is as detrimental as going into a crowded movie theater screaming fire. I'll say that again. It is as detrimental as going into a crowded movie theater screaming fire. Excuse me. That's not a First Amendment protection. It's a First Amendment violation. And we have to put this in perspective. And I would love to sit down with maybe the Bronx Borough president, because drill rap started in Chicago, but it's traveled like wildfire. It's here in New York, it's in Philadelphia, it's all over the country. And it's an art form built on killing people. It's not right. I'm gonna share my final thoughts because it's kind of warm in here and I'm choking. I'm gonna share my final thoughts after this real quick commercial break. But this is Cap and No Cap with Kevin C. Megan. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the world of Millennium News 24. We bring news, we analyze news, and we make a bridge between you and the eventful world. 24/7, Millennium News 24 team is at your service. Don't miss today's America, Editorial Today, and Global Democracy with host Tofader Noor. You also won't want to miss Todd Goldfinger's show, Goldfinger Music Hour, Noon News with host Todd Goldfinger. And to stay connected with all top and trending news, don't even miss Millennium News Hour with host Tanziba Nouri. Millennium News 24 is available to be watched free for all LED TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV, and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia, available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network, and Horizon Satellite globally. Millennium TV 24 News, news you need to know.
Cap or no cap? That was. I know it took us a long time to go to commercial. Had a little technical difficulty. I apologize for that. I had to run to a quick commercial break. We had to pay those bills, and plus I was over here choking. But real quick, I was just talking about the 50th year anniversary of hip hop. I would like to see hip hop is not a child anymore. So with that said, the difference between hip hop of yesteryear, which is my generation, and hip hop today, is that they want to keep it kiddie-like. So if you notice, all of the artists are little this or little that, little Dirk, baby this and baby that. And in my generation, we were inspired to be grown men. Big Daddy Kane, Father MC. We wanted to be adults. So the reality is this: we own the narrative of hip hop, and so I'm personally very proud to jump on board with Mel with this message. I will be out there. I believe it's the 26th of June in the Bronx, 720 Nereid Avenue, and he's going to be standing out there talking about hip hop being against gang and gun violence, and it's a right message. It's good messaging. Okay, so if you see this, and I need you to come out there and support. They'll probably be flooded with marketing material on this, but it's a very important issue, not just here in New York, but all over, because hip hop has touched the whole entire world. It's by far, we can have this debate if anyone wants to have it. By far, it's foundational Black American culture. But we've always created stuff for the world to enjoy since settlers came here. So, with that said, I want to see hip hop become more involved. I want to see veterans become more involved. And what do I mean by that? I would love to see more hip hop artists. Just imagine if someone like Melly Mel decided he wanted to run for city council, or Big Daddy Kane, or someone like that. Imagine if we were to start to take over government and become the change that the lyrics we had of yesteryear, and not all the way, because you still have decent artists that I really like J. Cole and can't think of them. I'm kind of drawing a blank right now, but there are a couple of artists that are out there doing, they're out there doing their thing. Imagine if they could actually become the change that their lyrics are bringing forth. It could be a very powerful tool. Hip hop started to take this turn, this shift in the late 80s, going into the 90s, because it was so powerful. When Public Enemy dropped Fight the Power, you actually had people in the street wanting to fight the power that was oppressing them to this music. But if anyone knows anything about our culture, we've always done that. We've done that with James Brown, when Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. Historically, the music was an instrument that helped us fight. Now today, it just keeps us dumbed down and lullied. And all we have to do is just take lead and let people follow. So, Melly Mel, if you hear me, I'm absolutely with you 100%, my brother. You have people that have signed on to this. Uh, Asha Castleberry, shout out to you. Mayor of Mount Vernon, Mayor Patterson, she's on this initiative. It's just getting a lot of attention, and I'm just happy to be involved with it. And I look forward to playing my part and making a difference any way I can. So, with that said, that's this week's show. Kevin C. Meggett will be back. Look for some good shows coming up in the very near future as we're getting closer and closer to the actual birthday of hip hop, which is August 11th, 2023. Until then, of course, you can catch us on Roku, Sony TV, Horizon Satellite, and all your Android, Apple TV. Download us now. LG Smart TV. We have all of these devices that you can watch this show, and advertise with us. We need advertisement. Come and advertise with us. We have great rates. And till next week, this is your boy Kevin C. Meggett, a Cap and No Cap, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good week.
Welcome to the world of Millennium News 24. We bring news, we analyze news, and we make a bridge between you and the eventful world. 24/7 Millennium News 24 team is at your service.